I just check my mic as well. Meanwhile, yeah, it's look good. Okay, great. So, thank you everyone for joining in for this Snowflake sessions. As promised, this will be going for almost 2 weeks. So, going by my way of teaching and sharing the knowledge, I see, you can safely assume that it will go probably maybe beyond 1 or 2 sessions more than the 2 weeks. Okay, so all of you, I mean, maximum uh, strength in this class already know me, but for others who don't know me, I'll give you one quick minute about myself. So I'm Deepak. I'm almost having 15 years of experience in IT industry. I started my career in 2008, and I'm into this big data from 2012 itself. So I when I was in the Riyadh, I was just saying that time itself I moved to the big data, and I was Hadoop certified since then, and I did my certification of Hadoop certification in the Riyadh only. So since then, I'm into this big data field. I work with the AWS, I work with the Azure, and from last couple of years, I'm talking and working extensively into the Azure world, and that's why you will find me on the LinkedIn here and there, always talking about the Azure. Okay, all this is fine. Uh, Besides this, if we talk about the Snowflake, in the Snowflake, almost I'm using
Deepak,
Snowflake.
sorry to interrupt you. Can you just turn off the transcript?
What
Giving some.
happened? It's coming in the bottom.
Yes.
You have to just uncheck at your end, turn off
Yes.
captions at your end. It will
Yeah.
work fine.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And if you talk about the Snowflake, in the Snowflake, I mean, I am working in the Snowflake since almost now, I guess, pre-COVID we started. So it's almost, I guess, 3-4 years now into the Snowflake. And Snowflake is getting a lot of grounds now. So I thought of like, let's have one some sessions on the Snowflake. So that's why I come up with this. Okay. Before moving forward with our content, I'll just quickly show you how you can get to all those recordings and all. Like, so many of you already know, but again, there is a one. Once you have registered for this class, you get one email from the Azure Lib Academy. Okay, and there you can go ahead and log into this portal, academy.azurelib.com. Okay, so this is the portal where you can go ahead and watch all those recordings of this sessions. All these sessions are getting recorded. So you will get your username, passwords via email itself. At the moment you have logged in, uh, I mean, register for this class. There itself, you might have got this email. So just reset your password if you haven't done yet, and you will log into this portal. And there you will see a one course. I mean, at the moment I myself is not registered for this course, so you are not seeing it. But somewhere here, like, you will see this Snowflake live course. So you go down to that course in the Android product, and then in this here on the left hand side you get all those recordings. So like, you will get this WhatsApp group details as well. You will get this sessions and all, so you can see all those recording from here on. Okay, so that's how you can access all those recordings. Okay, it gets started. I just close it down. Okay, so that's how you can go ahead and watch all your recordings. I again go ahead and I'll share the URL if you don't have it. So URL is academy.azurelib.com. And still, if you have any issues related to access or anything, please reach out to this email ID. I'm typing in admin@azurelib.com. So whatever is your query related to accesses or anything else, please come down here and you can go ahead and I should say like this. You can go ahead and you can share all your queries here. Okay. Okay.
Deepak, few people are getting waiting to get in.
I think they should be allowed automatically. Okay. So there is nothing. I've installed everything. So you can see that it's auto is on. So auto animation is on. So automatically, if they have the URL, they will get inside.
They can just retry because of the transcript. They were
Yeah.
not allowed to join.
Okay. I'll stop the transcript if you want, guys.
Yeah.
1 minute. I'm not sure how to stop it. Manage recording. I cannot. I think so. So leave it for now. I mean, Saurabh, you will manage it, please.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Okay,
look
fine.
into it.
So let's move back to our session. Uh, as usual, guys, I don't have PPT, and I hate PPT, to be honest. So I never prepare a PPT most, and like in all my maximum classes, I never go with the PPT shows. So again, I will use my this pen and paper kind of stuff to teach you all the concept. Okay. So starting with the Snowflake, all of you have heard this term that Snowflake is a cloud data warehouse. At least if you have heard what is this Snowflake is. So Snowflake is
Deepak,
nothing
sorry
but
to
a,
interrupt. One thing. So, do we have to make any notes, or will you be providing anything?
see, you have the recordings. So it's up to you whether you want to rewatch those recordings or whether you want to use this. You note down all your notes. Okay. So it's up
Okay.
to you. You will have the recordings.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So Snowflake Cloud Data Warehouse. This is the term which you have probably have heard when you probably have searched for the what is a Snowflake. Now it's all good. I mean, probably if you are not from something from a cloud background, or sorry, from a data warehouse background or a data background, you might not aware of what this data warehouse is all about. Okay, so for all those folks who are not aware of what is this data warehouse, let me just throw some light on what is this data warehouse is at all. See, uh, data warehouse, if you look at it, it's nothing but eventually this is a database only. Okay, now then why we have one where we call a database and one we call as data warehouse. So the idea behind this data warehouse that data warehouse is generally used to keep a huge amount of information. Okay, and when we say huge amount of information, probably all the historical data, maybe for example, you can think like that you have a multiple project within your organization. So let's say one project is for sales team. Okay, so they have their own database. One project is from the marketing team. Okay, so this marketing team also have their own application and own database. Another team is from operations team. So operations team also have a one project, and they are using storing all their application data into one database probably. Now what this warehouse in general probably could be is like data warehouse have data from all these different sources. So data warehouse will have a data from this. Data warehouse also have a data from this as well. So like all data will go inside this one common data warehouse. So what could be the advantage of doing this, and why the hell someone will do it? So the intent of doing this is like sometimes you have to do analytics or analysis. Okay, and for those analysis probably you need clubbing all together. For example, I'm giving a very rough example. For example, marketing team is doing something. Okay, marketing team is running one campaign. Okay, and they run some campaign, and correspondingly during that campaign period, if somebody wanted to understand how many sales we have done. Okay, for example, so probably I need the sales data plus marketing data both together, right? So for doing all this analysis, probably they have one team who is doing all this analysis, who is creating some kind of reports, and based on that report, there are the team or the stakeholders who are going to take some decision what to do next. Probably they are making maybe policies, etc. Okay, so in those cases, they need a one common place or a common platform where like all this data is available, and where They can combine those queries and combine those data to get some insight and generate some report. So this is a pretty common scenario in many organizations, and that's why you have heard about that data warehouse in maximum of organizations, that they have their own data warehouse. Okay, so this data warehouse means it's a warehouse where you are keeping all your data. Okay, so basically, I mean, generally you have two things with the data. One is, we call it OLT, I'm sorry, one is basically your OLTP and another one is OLAP. Okay, online transaction processing. For example, you have this database, you have this let's say your ticket booking website, maybe IRCTC or maybe any yatra.com or whatever. So this, the moment somebody books a ticket, right, or somebody want to fetch tickets information, etc., all that probably come from a database. That is nothing but your kind of an OLTP database, online transaction processing, where you you send the data or you receive the data, but you want it at a very fast pace. And it is like this database probably you are not using for running your long queries or for you doing your analysis. Okay, so that's why you generally have this OLTP. I mean, these databases in general call as OLTP one. Okay, data warehouses is an OLAP1, online analytical processing. So generally, when you run a query on a data warehouse, it's kind of an, you're doing OLAP, online analytical processing one, right? Because you probably run a huge, you have a huge amount of a data and you are running some query on this huge amount of a data to get some insight. Okay, so that could be your OLAP. And so that is the reason you need to have a two different databases. I mean, one is like, you might be asking that, Deepak, what is the magic in this? Probably I could run a query where I can combine all this data. I mean, I'll fetch this data together from all this table itself or on this data itself. Why I am using a data warehouse in itself? The reason being is, when you run your analytics query, which requires a huge amount of data, and which is a little uh, I would say compute intensive queries, which will take a lot of time to execute, you are slowing it down your main OLTP databases. For example, if you are running analytics query which is taking huge time, what will happen? This database will get occupied. This database will get slowed down. Okay, so ideally, if this database gets slowed down, then the application which is connected to it will also get slowed down. So maybe your end user will feel a lot of slowness. Okay, so no organization wanted to touch that, because your website speed or your application speed is important. So the idea is, you just, if you're doing two different tasks, then it makes sense to bifurcate it. So you have one database which is like representing an OLTP, like connecting to your application, giving all your data, etc. And then you separately keep a one database where you probably doing all your analytics. Okay, so that's what basically any data warehouse system do. Okay, now how this could happen? So if you look at it, now there is a one small problem in this. What is the problem? The problem is, uh, 1 minute. Okay, what is the problem? The problem is, assume that I have these three different databases, and this is my data warehouse. Now, it's not magic that data warehouse get the data, right? You need someone who will send the data to the data warehouse. Because if we talk about the sales data, we talk about this operations data, we talks about this marketing data, all they will get the data because of some application, right? They have one application, which application is connecting to this database, and that application is sending the data or receiving the data, whatever. Okay, so the input to this databases are their application, but What about the data warehouse? So generally, then all this databases will send the information to this data warehouse on a regular basis. It could be hourly, it could be um, daily basis, whatever. And this is done through normally your ETL one, your ETL pipelines. You create some pipelines which will copy data from your one data source and copying it to your data warehouse, probably. So that's how a general a system is in general is defined. Okay. Again, our whole goal of this course is not to learn what is data warehouse. Our whole goal is to learn the Snowflake. But I'm just creating the ground to get you understand the basic concept about this data warehousing. Okay. Now all this is fine. As I said, all data will come. Okay, done. Now over a period of time, you will get into a problem. Why? Because over a period of time, this data warehouse size goes very, very large. Right? Now, as the size goes larger, you probably have to make your system much more stronger. Like you have to add on multiple servers, your server cost is there, everything. And then managing all of them together will also be a challenge. So modern data warehouses, which we call it generally an on-prem data warehouses, like your SQL data warehouse or some other data warehouse, they are smart enough to handle the trillions rows, but still, still at some point of time they get slowed down. Okay, and the cost for such a large data warehouse could be very high as well. And then on top of it, management, like installing patches on all those things is a problematic. Okay, so then there is an evolution. Now this evolution started with the data warehouse, but it has reached a very high level now, and that evolution has been done by no one but the Snowflake. So what does Snowflake do is, Snowflake says that I am a cloud data warehouse. So this is the basic intent. Okay, Snowflake is a cloud data warehouse. It started with the data warehouse, which is a cloud data warehouse. Now the moment I say it's a cloud data warehouse, it's like it's not on your server. It's simple as that. So see, there is two terms. I think many of you already know, but still I am quite repetitive guy. So one is on-prem, another one is you call it as a cloud. Okay. So far, if you have your database installed on your own machine, or if physically the server is in your office premises, or it's in the property of the office, if it's a office property or it's at the office location only, then probably you call it as a on-prem. Okay, so that is called as on-premises solution. If your servers or anything which you are using, it's not completely owned by your office or your company or your organization, and you are using it over a cloud, then probably that those called as a cloud resources. Okay, or cloud applications. In cases, earlier cases, when you have a SQL data warehouse or any other data warehouse, what you was doing was, like, you installing, you have your own machine, laptop, whatever you call, and you install that software on your own machine. Okay, that means you are doing on premises. Maybe if you need like a 1 terabyte of hard disk, for that you bring that 1 terabyte of hard disk and you install your data warehouse on that specific server or a machine. In the cloud data warehouse, as Snowflake is nothing but a cloud data warehouse, it means that now you don't own anything on your uh, premises. Okay, it's everything is in the cloud. So now Snowflake is a cloud data warehouse. It means that now no need to buy anything, to buy any server, right? Because now you don't have any server which you need to buy for your own. You will take it on the rent over the cloud, probably. Okay, you don't need to do anything, you don't need to do install anything, no installation. So I You don't need installation. You don't need to do any maintenance activity like doing update, etc., patch, anything. You don't need to worry about the security, because now all these things probably have been taken care by the cloud. For example, if you have a one uh, server room where you have installed this server, server is kept inside it, probably you need to have the security at least from the room level, that only few people have an access to that room, nobody can go inside, who can switch on switch off the servers or etc., right? So you get rid of all those things. These are the common advantages of moving to the cloud. Basically, it's nothing about the Snowflake, to be honest. It's a basic advantage of moving over the cloud. At the moment you move over the cloud, you take everything on the rent. Probably if you get rid of the maintenance, security, installation, all those things at some level. Okay. So Snowflake is a cloud data warehouse, and the good thing is that is Snowflake is as I'm sorry, Snowflake is SaaS, software as a service. I mean, see, in the cloud, we have three types of service. I'm not going too much into it. One is called IaaS, one is called as PaaS, and third one is called as SaaS. IaaS is infrastructure as a service, PaaS is a platform as a service, SaaS is a software as a service. So the easiest one out of these three is the SaaS, software as a service. You don't worry about it at all. It's like a software. What it is doing under the hood, you don't care. You just make an account and you start using it. For example, Gmail. What do you do in the Gmail? You just make an account, you start putting your emails, you sending emails, you get a Google Drive where you can store the data, you can retrieve the data, everything. You don't care about it, whether it is on the Linux machine or it is a Windows machine, whether it is developed in the .NET, Java, or which platform. Forget about it. You don't care. You get only the application which you wanted to use, right? So that is basically a software as a service. So Snowflake is also a software as a service. Okay. So you don't worry about all this point. What you're going to do is you go out, you make an account in the Snowflake and you start using it. It is as quick as possible. So again, this might not look a very lucrative or a uh, very good to you for now, because you probably have not seen the data warehouse maintenance and all those things. It's an effort. It's a quite an effort to maintain all those things. So if an organization get rid of all that, probably they are saving a hell lot of cost. Okay, look at from the organization perspective, not from your own perspective. Look at from the organization side. Organizations always wanted to enable the technology in their projects, in their organization, if they are benefiting them or their customers, right? So now this is benefiting them to get rid of all those efforts. Okay, probably they save a lot of dollars. And second, it's not just about saving a lot of dollars. If they get rid of all those extra stuff, probably they can run faster now. Rather than focusing on all that thing, now they can focus on analyzing and whatever the purpose they have for the data warehouse. So they can focus more on that. Probably they can deliver fast now, right? So it's completely a win-win for them. So that is one of the reason that software, I mean, the Snowflake is getting the popularity among the vendors, among the clients, because this is a software as a service. So you don't need to do anything on your own. Everything is taken care by the Snowflake as it himself. You have to just make an account and you start using from the day one itself. There, it's highly agile, if you say, like, because you don't have to spend any info, I mean, any amount of time on managing all those things. So that's a very quickness. So, okay, this is just a one point about why somebody go and use the Snowflake. The biggest reason of using Snowflake and the biggest reason of the popularity of the Snowflake is not just this thing that it is a SaaS or a software as a service, but the the biggest advantage is the speed. Fast. The Snowflake is super fast. Okay, when I say super fast, literally it's very fast. Even when you have a very huge amount of a data, and when you try to run all your queries, it's pretty fast. Okay, compared to any other data warehouses, it's amazingly fast. Second thing, so the speed basically, so the speed is one of the biggest thing which helps in the growth of the Snowflake, that the speed is amazing fast. Second thing is almost zero learning curve. To me, almost zero learning curve. See, any technology, again, not look it from your side, look it from the organization side. Any new technology comes in, any organization adopt a technology if the technology has a lot of resources available, if whether they get a new technology, whether the existing workforce which they have will able to use that software or not, right? That is the one of the critical parameter to pick any technology. So in this Snowflake, the another good thing is that zero learning curve, almost zero learning curve. If you know SQL, so I would say if you know SQL, you almost know the Snowflake. You just need to know, I mean, that okay, you can do this, you can do that, this is the advantages, and that's how we can work in the Snowflake. That's what I'm going to teach in this entire 2 weeks time. Okay, and that's why it is not a 3 months long course. Okay, because the learning curve in the Snowflake is quite low. Compare it with the Spark. Spark is also fast, people say, and Spark is also good for doing analytics on a huge amount of a data. But the disadvantage now, at least in comparison to the Snowflake, is like the learning curve. You need to know Python probably, because if you're using PySpark, it involves a lot of coding. I mean, not a lot of coding, but yeah, it, some level of coding is there. It's still it's a coded environment. Okay, and if you look at it, once you start using the Snowflake, you will say you're not doing anything. Probably you are. It's feel like you are using the MySQL only, or probably you are using the SQL Server only, or you are using the your Oracle or DB2 only. So it's as similar like that. So from the developer's point of view, it's a very low learning curve, and yet it is very powerful. It's very powerful. Okay, so that's the thing. Third thing is cost effectiveness. Okay, so it's very cost effective. Now, why it is cost effective? See, so far, uh, in the on premises, the biggest problem in the on premises world is this. Assume that you have a 1 terabyte of a data. Okay, now in this 1 terabyte of data, you probably wanted to run um some analysis, or you want to do some analysis. What you need to do is you need to buy a machine which can hold this 1 terabyte of data first. Second, so probably you need a hard disk, right, which can hold up to, let's say, 1 terabyte of a data. Second is your processor. Now, if you are doing an on-premises data warehouse, or the old or traditional data warehouse, if I talk about it, in all those traditional data warehouse, probably if you have to handle a 1 terabyte of a data, you need a very large machine. Maybe a machine, let's say, I just assume it, let's say you have a machine where you need a 256 gigabytes of RAM, because probably you are doing and you wanted to run your query faster, and like parallelly a lot of people are running the query on this data warehouse. See, data warehouse, it's not something that which is uh, a unique, or which is a separate for each and everyone. Your organization have a one data warehouse, for example, and that data warehouse probably will be accessed by 50 100 people, right, to run their query parallelly. So on data warehouse, there is always a load, you will find it, because there are different team who is searching, doing report, or creating doing analysis from their own perspective. So you probably hit the same data warehouse. I mean, same data warehouse get hit by multiple people at the same time. So there is still a lot of load on the data warehouse. Okay. Now imagine, let's say I have a somehow my data size is 1 terabyte, which is quite small. I still feel for a data warehouse, and processor probably then I have to need a processor as well, which can process all this information. So I go out and I buy this information. I this huge server, 256 GB, yeah, large server, and have a multiple cores in that machine. Okay, here, so you imagine if you are running, whether you are using for a 1 week, whether you are using for a 1 month, and if you don't have an idea how long you are going to use this data warehouse, end of the day you end up with buying this huge amount of machine. I mean, you put a huge amount of dollar in buying such a large machines. Okay, and another thing is still at some point of time you don't have an opportunity to scale up, scale down. When I say scale up, scale down, it means that you feel that initially we started with a 1 terabyte. Now we feel that our data goes to 10 terabytes. Now what I'll do, I'll buy another hard disk, or I will buy another hardware which handle 10 terabytes, because data is going to increase only over a period of time. Now my processor is also not good. I have to buy another one, maybe machine. Then I feel that okay, no, we are scrapping this project. Now this project is decommissioned. We don't need it. All this will be a huge investment which you did it initially, which you're not sure of it. Secondly, you didn't get the scalability. I mean, you cannot increase it, you cannot decrease it automatically. But the moment you get into the cloud, what Snowflake has done is Snowflake has solved this problem of this storage and processing. What Snowflake has done is Snowflake says that, see, my employees work for 8 hours only in a day, right? They are not working 24 cross 7, for example. So my servers are not needed to be run 24 cross 7. Okay. So what Snowflake says is Snowflake has decoupled this. Snowflake says that whatever you store, I will take the storage cost. Okay. So I will only charge you for the storage and for 1 terabyte, let's say in this example. And when you run queries, I will run for you for computation. Okay. For example, if you run your query for a 1 minute, I will charge you for that 1 minute only. If you run it in a day for, let's say, 4 hours, I will charge you for that 4 hours only. Okay. Similarly, I mean, so now in the Snowflake, the cost is also quite less comparatively, because they have structured it in, I mean, they have decoupled it. Storage cost is different, computation cost is different. They feel that if you're storing the data, I mean, let's say, assume it, just for an example, assume it, I've stored the data and I'm not running the query at this point of time in my data warehouse, then I should not go and pay for the computation power, right? So that's what's the thing, because you know that in the cloud world, storage cost is very cheap, is very cheap. I mean, for terabytes, hardly it will cost you $50 or $100 or something like that, I guess. So storage cost is very, very less. Okay. So, and you have to only pay for the computation. If you think that you are running a large query, then you just to pay for that execution time. And in fact, in the Snowflake, you, for the first minute, let's say you have query is running for 1 minute 20 seconds. Okay. So you just pay for 1 minute 20 seconds only. So it has a billing up to the seconds level. For initial, for first minute, it will charge fully. After that, whatever you run, it will count only for the seconds. So if you run for a 1 minute 1 second, you will get charged for 1 minute 1 second only. So that's how granular the cost is there. So, and again, when you are running this now, you have an advantage to scale up, scale down. For example, one query is there and you feel that that query I need it very fast, very fast. So in that case, you pick a large cluster. Okay, and you will just pay for this query for this large cluster. For other queries which you feel that it's not that important, so what you're going to do is like, for those queries you'll use a small cluster. Okay, so that's the advantage you get in the Snowflake, that you can manage your cost very effectively, because you have decoupled the storage and the computation. Okay, again, it's not our headache how this is decoupled is done. For you it's look like same, it's look like a normal database, it's not look like you it's something different. For you it look like similar, but all this handles under the hood. It's not something which you have to do, it's like it's automatically taken care by the Snowflake again. So there is no complexity, but we're talking about in terms of the advantage and what Snowflake internally do. Okay, so this can be managed internally, that they have a different storage cost and different computation cost. So if you are not running your query, you are not getting charged for the computation, you get only charged for your data storage. But when you run your query, then you get charged for the storage plus for your whatever the computation power which you are using to run your query. Okay, so that also make this entire software as a very cost effective one. Okay, so that is another thing. Another fourth point which is quite popular in the Snowflake world is the time travel. So you probably heard this time travel. Now what does time travel do is, time travel is nothing but a historical data, like a history. Now generally what happens is, you have a database, you have a one row, you change that row. Okay, and you're not maintaining any history of those changes, you are not having any audit tables where you're keeping this auditing of this table changes, etc. Nothing. By default, Snowflake has a historical data maintained on its own. Okay, when I say on its own is you don't have to do anything, you create a normal table, you store the data inside it, you delete some data, you update some data, and still if you want to at any point of time go back to the previous versions, you always have the liberty to go back to a specific time zone, and you can see that okay, my data, what is the data there at 1 day ago, 2 day ago, 3 day ago, 5 day ago, 7 day ago, or at this specific time what was the data inside this table. So that historical time travel you can do backend. Again, when you do time travel, uh, there are few different accounts. Okay, I mean, I'll come to that point again as well. So by default, for few accounts which you make a trial account, I guess in the trial account it's a history of 1 day only allowed. But if you have the premium accounts or the enterprise accounts, there you have a history available for up to 90 days. Okay, again, there's a cost associated, that's why on your free trials on all those, I think only 1 day time travel is available, otherwise it's a 90 days. Okay, so these are few of the advantages of the using the Snowflake. There is another thing going on into the market is like, which you should aware of, is like a fight between the Databricks versus Snowflake. I mean, I'm telling you one truth, to be honest. In my project, I was using the Databricks, and my client who was using the Databricks since quite some year. I mean, I personally have created those notebook, and it took almost 2 years for me to develop that entire project along with my team. So now my client has decommissioned that. Now they are moving their entire thing from Databricks to the Snowflake. So that's what also happening, because Snowflake is getting that lot of coming with lot of those advantages that few people are start moving away from the Databricks as well. Although this is not just that Databricks is going to end and Databricks is not useful. Databricks has its own use case as well. But again, I'm Snowflake is quite new compared to the Databricks, but still Snowflake is start taking places at some in some projects. That's what my intention of saying this is. So And the reason is the simple as that, because maximum people in that organization, my client organization, are the data analyst and data scientist, and they shy away from running all those queries probably into the Databricks, and they love Snowflake. So that's why they are moving the entire data into the Snowflake, and they feel that whatever has been done in the Databricks can easily done in the Snowflake. So they don't see any extra advantages of the Databricks, and that's why they have their own reason of moving to the Snowflake. But yeah, so my point is that that's how powerful Snowflake is, that it starts replacing few things, few softwares or few existing technology as well. And this is as I said, this is a big decision my client has taken it, that their project of 1-2 years which they have built, they have completely moving out of that efforts. So I mean, it's something uh, which says that this is a powerful tool. Okay. Now, why there is a competition between a Databricks and the Snowflake? Let's come to this point. See, Databricks started as a Spark cluster. So Databricks is what? Databricks is basically a Spark cluster. Okay. Um, Whenever you have to run the Spark code, is either you create your own clusters, but Databricks says that I will provide you the Spark cluster where you can go and run all your Spark queries or Spark code. Okay, that's how Databricks got started up. Okay, now over a period of time, Databricks start adding multiple things in that. I mean, not only just you run the Spark code or Spark queries. Databricks now has their, which we call as data lake house as well. So the feature which I was talking about, like time travel and all those feature is there in the Databricks as well, using the concept called as delta lake. Okay, so now there is a not data lake. Okay, it's a delta lake. Okay, so using this delta lake, uh, Databricks, in the Databricks you can manage lot of time travel like historical data. You can manage many other things as well, which was um, earlier not there. Okay, like you can update the data. You can earlier it was like you cannot update the data. So now with the use of this delta lake, you get all those acid properties which we called as acid property of database: atomicity, consistency, and durability and all. So all those properties are now getting available into the Databricks with the use of this delta lake. So somehow Databricks and Snowflake is like fighting each other, not directly, but indirect fight is there, because earlier Databricks was handling a huge amount of data. Snowflake said I am also able to handle the huge amount of data. Then Snowflake says that I have a timetable. Databricks now saying that I also have a delta lake, which helps you to create your data lake house where you can store all your data warehouse thing, and you can still have a very high speed. So again, both of these are like in comparison almost all the features is there. But if you ask me personally, a very personal choice, my personal choice is Snowflake only, because I find it very easy. That's the only thing from the configuration side, from other sides, I feel like okay, almost the functionality sides, Database and Snowflake almost have a kind of a similar one. But still, Snowflake is very easy to use. Although still, if you have to do a lot of codings and you have a huge algorithm which you want to run, or a complex thing, still Database should be the choice, no doubt. But yeah, Snowflake is easy to run, and like if you are playing only and only with the SQL, then Snowflake could be a very good choice. Okay, another thing is like with the old data warehouse was the type of data. So I'm sorry, I think so. The fifth thing was type of data. So earlier, majority of those the traditional data warehouse only handle the structured data. Okay, I assume you know structured data. Structured data means is like data which is in the relational form. Okay, relational form is like rows and column format. Okay, so earlier data warehouses or the traditional on-premises data warehouses was using this structured data. But this Snowflake can handle the semi-structured data as well. Okay. When I say semi-structured data, it means like whether you have a CSV file, whether you have a JSON file, whether you have a Parquet file, whether you have, I guess, XML is also supported. So all these different types of data is also supported now. Now, JSON is a very important format, because a lot of your IoT devices or your telemetry data comes in the JSON format. So that's why this JSON is important format. A lot of data is in the JSON format. Okay. Parquet, uh, for a lot of you, this is a new format. This Parquet format is a default Spark format. So whenever your Spark saves the data, by default, it saves the data in the Parquet file format. Okay, so that's why Parquet, in the big data world, Parquet is a very well-known file format. So Snowflake supports that file format as well. Okay, XML, CSV is also very popular. So yeah, it supports all this kind of a semi-structured data also. So which was, again, Databricks also support all of them. So it is not that Databricks does not support, but yeah, Snowflake supports this different types of data format as well. So that's why overall, if you look at it, I mean, Snowflake could be a very good choice to start with it. Like, it suppose variety of information like structured data, unstructured data, time travel it has, cost solution it has, learning curve is also less, speed is also very good. So all these are the important features. And again, we already talked about that it's a SaaS. So you get rid of all those um, management of like maintenance, your patch update, etc., installations, maintenance. So you get rid of all those things, because as it is a cloud, another advantages which we talk about was like the scalability. You can scale up and down, increase, decrease, and you have to just pay for what you use. So all these are quite good reasons of using the Snowflake, and that's why Snowflake is getting a lot of popularity. Now all this what I've said is good, but until unless you cannot see it, it's of no use, right? So how you can use it, let's go down to the Snowflake itself and see what I'm talking about. Okay, one of the good thing with the Snowflake is Snowflake it comes with a free trial. Okay, so you can go down and you can search for a Snowflake free trial account. Another good feature with the Snowflake free trial account is that you don't need credit card or a debit card, just like you need it for making an Azure or AWS account. So when you make a free account in the AWS or Azure, it asks you the credit card, debit card information to deduct 1 rupee, 2 rupee from that, so that validate your uh, uh, bank details, and then it will allow you to make an account. But Snowflake comes with 30-day free trial, and it gives you $400. Again, not a money which you can take away. It's like a credit which you get it in your Snowflake account. So whenever you run some queries in the Snowflake, it will charge something. So up to $400 you can use it. This is more than enough for your practice purpose. So don't worry. Also, the second thing is, if your trial get over, it's nothing big, big thing. You create another email ID, and with that another email ID, you will create another Snowflake account. Okay, so you can keep on creating an email ID, and you can keep on creating free trial account on the Snowflake. So I mean, this from the software side, this is not, I mean, you don't have to pay anything for learning this Snowflake software. Okay, so that's a free. So what you're going to do is, you go to the Snowflake trial account, like anything which you get in general is, you go, you fill out all your information like this, and you say continue. You will get an email for activation, and once you click on that active your account is active and you are ready to start. Okay, so it is as simple as that. You can think like that. You start using data warehouse hardly in 5 minutes. You just put out all your details, you get an email, you just verify it email, and you start using it. So I already did that, to be honest. And I got a one activation mail, I click on that, and my account got active. Now once you get your account get active, Only thing is like in the Snowflake, uh, when you do it, basically, Snowflake asks you to choose the cloud platform. So basically, Snowflake gives you three account, whether you want to choose the Google, whether you want to use the Azure or AWS. So when you make an account, it will ask you like which one you want to use. So you can decide whether you want to use an Azure based one, or whether you want to use an cloud an AWS based one. So you pick anything based on your thing, but it does not change anything under the hood. It will get save your data into the Azure cloud or in the AWS cloud or into the Google cloud. But for you, how to use this Snowflake will not get changed. It will completely remain the same. Okay. So that option you will get it once you do the sign up and all. Okay. So you can choose that. Now I have already done it. I have get an account. Okay. Now once you get an account, let's say I think this is my account. I don't know. I don't remember. Let me try if I'm able to log in. Yeah. So this is my account. Another thing which you need to notice is like in the Azure, sorry, in the when you choose an account of this Snowflake, you get a different URL. So my login URL will be different and your login URL will be different. Okay. For example, when you log into the Facebook, you also use facebook.com. I also use facebook.com. But in the Snowflake, when you make an account, you get a different URL. You look at my URL, something like this: eastus-2.azure something, and then there is a one account ID. So basically, you get a URL. That URL is showing off your region. So region is like, again, we'll talk tomorrow again on this point, like how you get a different region. So you get a URL which is representing your region, and then .azure. Probably it's showing me that I have chosen the cloud platform as an Azure, and this could be my account ID or something. Okay, and that's how my unique URL you'll get it. If somehow I can show you, I'm not sure. Ideally, I should not have shared my this email ID, but let's see. Let me open it. Okay, so this is the email which I have used to create this account. Okay, so I think this one. Welcome to the Snowflake. So this was my account. Now you see this. I'm sorry. Oh my god, where it went? Okay, so here you see your account has been activated. Your username is Deepak, and your account URL is this one. So all of you will get a different uh, this login URL. Okay, probably this is like your some account ID now. Okay, so this is your login URL. You will use this URL, and there you will go and you start using your Snowflake account. So do remember, you need username, you need password, and third you need the URL as well. Okay, because your URL will be your unique URL. Okay, to get login into your own machine. Do remember that. Okay, so keep handing all this URL later on if you want to log in. Again, this is my account. That's why this is this URL. Probably for you this is different. Okay, so okay, all done. Now I got this email. I logged in yesterday only. Day before yesterday, it's on the Sunday. Yeah, yesterday only I created this account. Okay, for this purpose, and this is what you get it. So this is my Snowflake account looks like. So I'll start with the worksheet, and that's how I get account. Now once you make an free account, I'll take you through with all this. I think we're almost around at 1 hour now, so I have to stop soon because a lot of people has this office as well. So quickly I'll take a 5 more minutes to explain this. So here is a dashboards where you can see some information. I mean, when you create some charts and all, you can do that. Again, we'll come back to it. I'm not doing right now. I just wanted to what I wanted to show you. I'll just quickly show you that. So worksheets you create is nothing but like a SQL file or normal. So I'll just create a one worksheet. I'll just click on that. So this is nothing but my worksheet. Snowflake gives you some sample data. Whenever you make a free account, it will come with some sample data. So I have not done anything. I just create a one dummy account for you guys. So you here see this Snowflake sample data. Okay. So this is some data. I'm seeing it. Let's say this is the schema something. So I'm just opening this. Okay. You click on this object and there you will see the databases. So let's say this is my database. All this is the tables. All this. You see the easiness. Everything is you are getting it. You right click on it. Okay. You'll get some more information about it. How many rows and etc. is there. So that's how your database will look like on in the your Snowflake account. Okay. So here you can travel with all those information. You can see all those information. If you want to select, if you want to run this query, you will get an spec star from what is your table name. Sorry, what is your this call center? Okay, I'm sorry, call center. So you get it. Auto completion also comes in, and here you see an option no warehouse selected. So tomorrow again we'll talk about it, but there is a, as I was saying, that there is a different compute environment, right? So far you see no warehouse selected, my warehouse is down, that is my computation power is down. So I just select this computation power and I say okay. So I just now, the moment I click run this, my computation power gets started up and it will run my query and start showing me the result. Now you see that my computation power is in the green and I start getting the result. So it is as simple as that. So now you can see all that result. You get all this information as well in the charts also. If you want to see in the charting manner, you can see all those charts as well. You click on this charts and it will create some chart for you. And all this runs very quick. Even when you want to scale up, scale down, you can change the your warehouse from small to the large, extra large, etc. And then your query runs much faster. Okay. So again, I'm not going into this demoing you all the uses or the how to use this Snowflake web account or a walkthrough of this. Tomorrow from here on, we'll continue it. So I'm just stopping for now because I feel it's almost 9:20 and like we'll spend another half an hour or so at least on the asking for the questions and all. So I'm just stopping now, and tomorrow from here on we'll continue. We'll get deep dive into this Snowflake, and like today, again for the next 2 weeks, I don't have any PPT, so I'm going to run this show like this only. Okay, so back to you guys. I'm open for all the questions. Please come forward and ask all your questions if you have any.
Hey Deepak, Vimal here.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, like, what is the scope of this 2 weeks agenda? Like, what are things we are going to learn, and after two
Yeah.
weeks, what
So
could be
you,
the what would be the output?
so output is like you will become a practitioner level in the Snowflake. So you will get deployed to any project and you can start working on the Snowflake.
So it
This is
is
the
up to
simple
only
agenda.
writing the queries or managing the Snowflake, like adding accounts and all
You
everything we
get to
will
know all
able to
that,
do.
or you get to know all that. Okay.
All right, all right, all right.
So don't worry. I mean, as I said, Snowflake does not have a very big learning curve. So you will be able to start working on the project directly. Trust
Hmm.
me, when I started working on the Snowflake 4 years ago, I didn't got any training, and I think I am find myself getting ready on the Snowflake in 2 days itself. So Snowflake, it's fine. And the entire agenda of this 2 weeks workshop is to make you Snowflake ready. You can start handling the Snowflake interviews. We will start handling the Snowflake project. So, I mean, you will be ready after this 2 weeks. You start working in the Snowflake. As simple as that.
Okay,
Okay. You become a Snowflake developer, to be honest.
okay.
Deepak, hi, it's Gaurav here.
Yeah.
So Deepak, can we connect Snowflake with other cloud tenants like Azure or AWS and run the ETL pipelines? I mean, just using a Snowflake as a compute engine or
Yes. So, I mean, I am not covered yet, but Snowflake has a variety of connectors there. So, either you can access the Snowflake via command line using the SnowSQL, You can connect Snowflake via web interface, just for example, which we have seen for now. You have the connector, like if you want to connect through a Java code, so you have a Java drivers available, connectors available, which can connect to the Snowflake. So using your Java code, you can access to the Snowflake, and you can write the data into the Snowflake or read the data from the Snowflake. You have a Python connector. Y- let's say, for example, if you are a Azure data factory developer and you want to connect from a data factory to this Snowflake, you have that connection available. I think Informatica can connect to the Snowflake. Talent can connect to the Snowflake. So I think there's a hell lot of connectors out there which can directly connect to the Snowflake, and you can dump the data there.
Great. That helps. Thank you.
Yeah. See, I mean, they cannot be successful if they do not provide these connections.
Right.
So they have to.
Is it
Yeah.
possible? So the next question, is it possible to move this call to 8:30 instead of 8:50?
I'm sorry, your voice is not audible to me clearly.
Okay. Can we move this one to 8:30 instead of 8:15?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm a little rigid on this because a lot of people has an office start by 9 as well. So like that's the problem I have. So even I'm in a favor of moving it little early instead of doing little late, because in India, like, people has to travel as well. A lot of people has to go to office as well. So
But 15 is also time for kids to drop the
I,
schools.
I'm sorry. Can you be little louder, please? It's difficult to understand what you're saying.
Give me a minute.
Vasu,
Yeah.
can you put your question in the chat window if because you are not properly audible?
Hey, hi Deepak, Rinku here. Am I
Yeah,
audible?
Rinku, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Deepak, I'm having a code with PySpark or Scala and I need to migrate to Snowflake. So do we have option there Snowpark in this session?
No, Snow Park is not a part of this session. Snow
But
Park
most of
is
the
something.
projects, yeah, but Deepak,
Mhm.
but most of the projects, right, they are built with Snowpark. I mean, sorry, I mean PySpark or Scala. In that case, how will
Yes, sir.
migrate to Snowflake?
See, you don't need to know the Snow Park for migrating your data from uh, your PySpark to this. So what you can, I'll tell you. Don't worry, I'll show you. But not you
Okay,
exactly. You don't need the Snow Park. Don't worry.
okay.
Okay, Deepak, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, Vasu,
Okay,
go ahead.
yeah. So I just ask you to move to 8:30. I mean, as you mentioned that it is not possible. Okay, fine. My next question is regarding to this computation. So when we are looking into the traditional data warehouses point of view, so we have this cache mechanism enabled for the computation process, right? So either you can look at Oracle or we have the buffer cache kind of thing. But whereas here in on cloud computation process, you mentioned that how much we can compute based on that we have the prices mechanism, right? So during that, in that point of view, so when we have the computation in process and we fetch the some sales data or whatever data in place, so the next time if you want to fetch the same data kind of thing, do we have cache mechanism here? Are we implementing cache mechanism here?
You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
You just leave it to the Snowflake. Snowflake will take
Okay.
care of all of them
So
under the hood.
it is there in the already. So we just
Yeah,
need to.
it's
We
it's
don't
under the
want.
hood. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
You don't have to worry about the indexes. You don't have to worry about all those things. So that's the idea behind the Snowflake, that you get rid of
Oh,
all this.
okay, okay. So,
So Deepak, related to
uh,
this only.
one minute, Shashikant. I think since quite some time Gurjot has already raised her hand. Let her speak. I'm sorry, I'll take your question as well, but she is waiting from quite some time now. Gurjot, please go ahead.
A very good morning, Deepak. Hope am I audible to everyone.
Yeah, you are. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for this more insightful session for Snowflake, first of all. And I really congratulate you for
Thank you.
uh, giving this session and providing various insightful things about the snowflakes as we all, try to find out the new things with the learning and exploration. And
Thank you.
my question is, Like I have two questions. One is like as you have told, like we can choose Azure also, we can go with AWS also while creating the Snowflake account. So I just only want to know like we have the utility to copy the data or pulling the data from AWS and from Azure in Snowflake, and we can do the query stuff. So whether it will affect any like query doing things if we will go with Azure and we want to work exclusively with some project pulling the data from AWS.
No, there's nothing. Whatever you choose, I mean, I got your point. So when we go to the, I
Mhm,
think after 2 3 sessions, we'll come to the snow pipe thing.
mhm,
So you create the
mhm,
stages. So in the Snowflake, you can create the
mhm.
stage, and when you go and you create the stage, you can choose any platform. Okay. So and that
Okay.
I think will solve your problem. I think what you're talking about, whether you want to being into
Yeah.
the Azure and you
And
want to
my
pull up the
second
data
question
from
is
AWS.
like we are
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, okay. And the second question is, as we are already getting the recordings, but then how, like, I just want to know whether we are getting any textual content or the labs or lab documents from your side so as to practice well. And along with
Uh,
that, I just want to add one more point. Whether you already have told us like we will be working as a Snowflake practitioner, but we will be able to take up any Snowflake Pro or Snowflake Foundation examination as well after this training?
Gurjot, on your first point regarding this the documents and all, so I'm going to give you the quizzes and assignments, so which will help you to practice,
Okay.
so that you will get it. And
Mhm.
again, you will get in the same the account which I shown at the start, the CAD Azure Lib Academy. So there you will get
Mhm.
the mm, your assignments, and you will get your quizzes, so that will help you to practice.
Okay.
And and the second thing is about the certification. I am a very anti certification guy, so I don't I am very
But like
vocal
in
about it.
any case, yeah, in any case, like in future, let's say we have to
See,
take up like some certification exam on
uh,
Snowflake. So that is only my,
I will
you know.
I mean I will share those practice questions which is come under those certification exams, so I'll share that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Deepak. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Yeah. See, if you look at my the presentation style also, it's not a theoretical one. It's
Yes,
completely
yes,
practical.
yes,
Like,
yes.
and
Yeah.
when I see the certification, it's more of a practical thing. What is the limit of the maximum
Hmm.
warehouse I can create?
Hmm.
What is the
Hmm.
maximum data size?
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
look to me
Hmm. Hmm.
bullshit, because practically will not never going to reach that in
Yes,
real world
yes.
scenarios.
That I completely got it. That's why I just asked this question.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Please, anyone. I mean,
Deepak,
Bhaskar or anyone.
my
Yeah.
my question was
Yes, Shashi.
something related to, you mentioned that there is a computation cost for each query we fire on Snowflake. If we
Mhm.
fire same query multiple times, is that computation cost will be the same with the first one, with the second one, and the third one?
There will be a minor change. So look at it. I mean, you can try it out here. The good thing with the Snowflake is it's very transparent. So and coming down to this page, you go down here again. I mean, tomorrow again, I'm going to talk about it for sure.
Deepak, that is the reason I asked you to that we have the cashier mechanism here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you here you see the query history. So you can go down to any query history and you can check it, how much time it takes. You can see the query profile. You'll see the entire how it works at what level, how this things works. So, but again, I there is no explicitly mentioned caching anywhere. Okay, that's what I'm want to say. That internally it manages like the person is scanned from the caches. So probably like you don't have to create anything of your own. Okay,
My second
so
question is, it's Snowflake is a completely ETL solution?
uh not just an ETL. I mean, ETL just helps to bring this data to here. I mean, to me also this is a big data solution as well, because the ETL was generally used earlier for the data analytics purpose only, but now the data scientist can also use this. And no, in your normal ETL, in mini ETL, you don't have the charting and all those things, visualization, but here you have that visualization also available.
It's a complete data warehouse solution, basically, we can say so.
Yes, and they
Not
are
just ETL.
adding on a lot of extra features as well day by day. Like there's a hell lot of connections are out there, so you go to the marketplaces and you see so many other things which allows it. So again, I mean, let's give it a shot. Go slow. Let's understand it. You'll get an idea.
Okay, thank you, Deepak. Yeah.
Thank you.
Deepak, I have a question.
Yeah, Pankaj, go ahead.
So if you look at an on-premise database, it's a database world, right? I mean, the biggest problem was scalability. So at certain point of time, it doesn't stay linear. I mean, it becomes exponential, right? The cost. Now, if we look at this cloud-native data warehouses like Snowflake, I mean, we don't have too many in the cloud-native data warehouse world. It's probably the only one right now which is not aligned to any of those big cloud providers. I mean, say GCP has got say big BigQuery, or say AWS has got Redshift, but it is adaptable to any of those cloud providers. So if we have to benchmark, so against which one should we benchmark to figure out the cost and all? Because the general feedback from the customers is that for a smaller warehouse it's fine, but once your warehouse grows, I mean, the cost is not very transparent, and then they have to kind of figure out a way to optimize it because they don't have a benchmark. I mean, you cannot compare with Teradata or say Netezza or a Oracle to figure out like how extra you are paying or what is the way to optimize. So as a practitioner, how do you tackle that question?
To be honest, I mean, I would say that in that cases, because see, if you talk about any of those solutions, the first of all, many of them has a licensing cost, upfront licensing cost, which is very high. So let's say, for example, if you're talent and all those, like $10,000, $20,000 per user cost. So you get rid of that, first of all, right? Because you don't have to give the license based on that, probably. You create a multiple user and all of them you're using, because here the costing is, it's not license based cost, it's cost is usage based cost. Second thing is like, it's tough to calculate. As to be honest, it's tough to calculate because the moment you get into the on-premises mode, you don't care about how many queries you are running. So probably the comparison cannot be done until unless we have an insight of saying like, okay, somebody is using up to for this many number of queries they are running it, and probably their total computation time is coming out something like this. Then some comparison can be done, because here, as you see, the cost is coming based on the computation, the number of queries which you are using or which you are running on. So I mean, I think I would say that the way you can do it is like, you have a multiple environments. Probably you have a UAT, you have a prod, you have a dev environment. You can start with a small data in the dev environment, so that all queries which you runs probably will have a lesser amount of a data, and probably it will reduce a lot of cost there. And because your running time will get reduced on a hell lot, because in the production only the important queries will run. So that's what you can do. I mean, again, there is no cheat sheet I can give you directly that okay, this is how this comparison can look like, because it's very project to project based on their usage. Because Snowflake cloud data warehouse is all about the usage. So what is your usage pattern is that defines the cost.
Yeah.
But
In
still,
addition to this, Deepak, it has a good. You can run it in different modes. Like you can run it in an economical mode where it look after the limited computation. It will use the limited computation.
yeah, see, I mean, like, that's fine. You can reduce on the small size, and even I mean, there is another theory here as well, that don't look at it from just like the on-demand one. The moment you get into the Snowflake contract, you can have a reserved capacity as well, just like in any cloud, as like in Azure, AWS. When you go with the 3-year contract with them, and then you are reserving the capacity, your cost will reduce down up to the 30-40%, like anything, because you are reserving some space, and you are doing the commitment that okay, you are going to use this much for any year or so, like that. So that also reduces down the cost. So there are many things which come at the cost level. But again, I mean, your question is very valid. When you are into the sales, you're doing a sales pitch, or you are a pre-sales guy, if you are being a Snowflake developer, this doesn't, you don't care. You don't care, because it's like different stakeholders who are taking this decision, and like you have to just play around with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Deepak, what is the responsibilities of the Snowflake developer?
Again, Snowflake developer is a very new. Okay, so the idea is like probably if you have to pull the data from a different sources, like doing some ETL work, so that is their responsibility. They have to ensure that all these ETL pipelines which indirectly they have created is working fine. If some analytics, some user stories you are getting for creating some kind of a data, some kind of view which is used for some report generation purpose or something like that, you have to do that. So overall, this is in general a responsibility, just like a SQL developer. You can think like that.
Yeah, one more naive question. So in AWS, we already have Redshift, right? So what I have seen is that, in spite of having a Redshift, I mean, the clients are still opting for Snowflake as an additional, piece in the whole ecosystem. So why is it so? I mean, what are the shortcomings of Redshift as compared to Snowflake? Any kind of, maybe operational issues or cost considerations or flexibility? So any opinion on that?
Saurabh, you want to take this question?
Okay, so it's not the cost. So as Deepak already told you, see, all are providing the data warehouse solution where you have a ETL pipeline and you are basically putting the data at one place. Okay, Snowflake has a few advantage because they are totally into the data warehouse solution. The performance wise, they are continuously innovating on their cloud solution because they are focusing totally onto the data warehouse. So they are compared to the Redshift or other technologies from AWS, GCP, or Azure. They are basically working on the performance side, on the cost side, and they are giving more options for the data warehouse solution only. So that is the big thing why Snowflake is outperforming in this site and gaining popularity these days.
Okay, thank you.
Deepak, hi, good morning. I have multiple questions. First of all, can we connect to other data warehouses like BigQuery and read the data from there? Do we have BigQuery connector for this?
To be honest, I don't think so directly you have it. The way is like you create the stage, you put that data into the stages, and you can read from that their stage. So like you can use the Snowpipe as a feature to read the data. For example, let's say you have a data into the ADLS, or let's say you have data into the S3, and you want to read the data from there. Then there you have the option of using the stages, and through that you can do it. Snowpipe is the feature.
Okay, and we're going to learn about Snowpipe, right, in the future, so to see
Yes.
feasible.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and second question is,
Hi.
like, sorry. As you mentioned, we can write some ETL pipelines. Do we have a provision to, I mean, write it to multiple locations, like reading the data, maybe using the Snowpipe, we'll read the data. And again, can we write the data to back to some other locations, like other GCP services, like BQ or AWS S3 back buckets as well?
It's perfectly possible.
Okay. What about, I mean,
You can
different
do all
other,
sort of automation there. These kind of automations you can do. You can post the data at other locations and other clouds as well.
Yeah. So basically, in this case, still you use the chaining of a Snowflake task. So the feature here we're going to use a Snowflake task. So using a Snowflake task, you can the question which you asked can be solved using the Snowflake task. So you have a one task which read the data, and then you have a child task of it, which is like writing the data at some specific place, probably somehow. That's how you can think of it.
Okay. And I mean, other than cloud, like we have this Kafka, SFTP, these locations, right? Can we configure those as well, writing the data in different formats?
Reading the data from the Kafka.
Maybe reading the data from Kafka, do we have connector or writing the data back to Kafka or SFTP location? Because those comes under SFTP comes under file systems, right? And whereas Kafka comes under messaging systems. So do we have that provision as well?
I mean, to be honest, Maleshwar, I have never done that. So
Yes,
I'll check and
we
let
have.
you.
You can
Yes,
use
we
the
have.
streams
We have.
Sure.
provided in the Snowflake, but it's like the way the Kafka works. So you can have the streaming services.
Yes, yes, we can be able to do
Okay.
that. I have
Deepak,
experience
your
on that
mic
one. So
mic is off.
we can cover.
You're not audible.
Deepak, is there any difference in Snowflake and Informatica Cloud?
Uh,
Yeah, both are the same uh, service
I,
provider.
I'm I'm really sorry, guys. I forget that I have to drop my kid to school. So Saurabh is here. Meanwhile, I probably back in like 5-10 minutes. So it's a very nearby school only. So it'll take hardly 10 minutes. I'll come back in 10 minutes. So meanwhile, Saurabh will answer your queries and I'll stay as I promised for next 1 hour. So I'll be there. So I'm really sorry. I have to just get out for next 10 minutes. Okay. So I mean, your questions still can be answered by Saurabh. So Saurabh is
Yes.
here. He is handling the questions. And then I'll again back in 10 minutes. Okay. Okay. So thank you, guys. Thank you for joining in.
Yep.
So Saurabh, back to you. I'm just
Yeah.
keeping it
Thank
on.
you.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
Saurabh, is there any plan to give training for the Tabla?
Tabula, no. As of now, we don't have any plan for Tabula.
Okay.
Can you think about this? I mean, we have this data warehouse is very good, but to visualize this data, we need to have some
Vasu, your voice is breaking or not properly audible. Can you put
Okay,
it
fine.
your question in the chat window?
Sure, sure. Fine.
Saurabh, how it will be different from Azure Synapse Analytics and this one Snowflake data warehouse?
Okay, so it's on the top of a Snowflake, you can do analytics, right? Just like in the Snaps. So here also you can do the analytics. There's not big difference in it. The only thing is that just the providers are different. Because in analytics, what you do, you create some dashboards, you create KPIs and all. So it's available in both the platforms. Only the solution providers are different.
Okay.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Gautam.
Yeah, hi. Saurabh, is there any some real-time project scenarios covered as well as part of this course?
Yes, we will not the basically you can say it's the copy of the real-time project. Basically, we will be considering one use case, and then we will demonstrate you how you can use the Snowflake and to solve. And in that use case, there is a big various problems associated with the data warehouse, and there we will demonstrate you how we can use the Snowflake in these to solve these kind of problems and to get the good performance.
Sure. So basically, the idea is if you want to, probably appear for a position on Snowflake, so you can, in your interview, present some scenario that you have worked,
Yes. So from our experience, where we are using this Snowflake in our project, we will show you like how it helps, and we will give you the the benefits of Snowflake that you can answer in the interviews.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. And just another question. So, I mean, of course, Snowflake is hot topic nowadays, Databricks, Snowflake, all these. So, definitely there will be plenty of jobs around for everyone. So, but here, I guess, as Deepak mentioned, it is as a practitioner or as a developer that you can pitch in. And so apart from that, what else? If someone is more experienced person, 10-15 years, so if he wants to get to a Snowflake architect level, what additional he needs to do on his own to be at that sort of position?
Yeah. So if you are looking from architect level, you need to understand the basic architecture of the Snowflake. You need to understand how the cost is getting evaluated, right? You need to, when the client asks you, plan for your project, then you need, the cost is a very important factor. So we will be covering all these things in our sessions, how to calculate the cost and how to estimate it. Everything will be covered.
Okay. Okay. Great. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Saurabh. Myself Hari. I am from mainframe background. So I'm a mainframe programmer. So I want to switch my career towards Snowflake. So I would need help in, putting a project into my resume and putting responsibilities, how it looks like and all. So can I expect some help around that?
Okay, see, what you can do is first let this course get completed and watch our what use case that we are going to use it. Try to find out how you can align that use case in your project. So let's say in my company I'm working in a e-commerce domain, right? And I just learned the Snowflake. Then I can find out the opportunities where I can, I will find out how I can align my project with the Snowflake, where I can use the Snowflake in my existing project, existing scenario, right? And then I will write this in my resume, so it will look like actually you have worked in the Snowflake in the real time,
Yeah,
right?
makes sense.
So
Yeah.
that you have to mention it in such a way.
Any sample resume if you can share with us?
Yeah, definitely we will
That
do
will
that.
help.
We will do
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
So Saurabh, Sanjay here. Good morning, everyone.
Yes. Good morning,
Uh,
Sanjay.
yeah, a couple of questions. One, while it's good that you're coming up with end-to-end project with a hands-on use case. See, with Snowflake, DBT and Streamlit are the more popular tools, right? Because along with Snowflake, every job description you see, Streamlit or DBT is heavily nicely integrated, I guess, because of ease of use or whatever be the reason.
Yes.
So in this project, is there a plan to introduce them briefly, because it will help in the overall Snowflake
Yes,
development
yes,
environment?
yes. DBT is much needed. We will be, giving intro to it, and we will be using it in our projects as well.
Okay, okay. So regarding the architect, because I come from solution architecting background and pre-sales, right? So we will have to do a lot of this comparison, which we discussed. Some of the core learners expressed those queries.
Yeah.
Specifically, for architects, right? What do you think, that you will cover? Of course, cost is one of the key things, but in terms of, because the end of day, I will have to help the team to implement the solution. I will have to, structure the data architecture, so
Yeah.
all of that, right? So any high level input that will be covered.
Yes. So, Sanjay, see, what happens is one thing which is very important. There's two things are important: where to use Snowflake, why it is needed, right? So we will be giving you the scenarios where the Snowflake can be utilized, or which will help you in your existing projects. So we will show you different scenarios, right? Because that is important. At the architect level, you need to know that when to use a particular technology or when not to use it, right? And the second thing is the cost. So in our sessions we will be covering those two parts.
Sure, because a little bit of course, it is SQL friendly, right? I mean, all everything is. If you, what I understand is, I worked in Oracle a lot, Oracle data warehouses, so it's going to be much easier, in terms of Snowflake. But again, in terms of the design, because as architect, I would help the team to put up the design together. Is there any design patterns or architecture patterns that you think will be covered briefly? Because I know it's a developer session, but at least because some of us have come with some experience and in other technologies having done the same thing, but it's just that the Snowflake is a new technology. I mean, so that is where that would help actually.
Yeah, don't worry, Sanjay. We will be doing it. We will be showing you the comparison based as well, like in what scenario we have to use it, like how it is different from the existing systems or existing tools that you are using. So that we will be covering.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Saurabh.
Good morning.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, actually, I am right now. I am working in networking domain, and that project is like a very non-technical kind of thing. So I just wish to move to data domain. So I just wanted to know if this course would be sufficient for me to switch to, like, if I wish to give interviews for this data domain in Snowflakes. So is this be sufficient? Are you going to provide like a hands-on experience, live projects
Yeah,
into?
as I already mentioned, we will be covering the real-time use case in this project that you can mention in your resume. And apart from that, you need to gain because you are from the networking domain, so you need to have the basic SQL or Python as well in your resume. Other than because Snowflake is one of the advanced technologies, so you need to have a basic data concept or bit of a data engineering concept. So if you have that, it will be an edited one. So for the next let's say plan for a couple of months, have a rigorous I mean, like, you have to put a lot of efforts to actually migrate into the data domain. So you can do it easily, don't worry about it. The only thing is that you need to put more efforts, so learn SQL, Python, and bit of a data engineering, and the Snowflake is going on.
So in data engineering, what do we need to cover in data engineering? I know
Basics of
bits.
cloud, pick any cloud provider, learn how to create the pipelines, how to create the data, how to use that data. That's it. Not a very in-depth knowledge, but just basics will work.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Saurabh. I'm part of this data engineering batch as well of Deepak. I just have, I'm a bit confused now. We have this pipelines in ADF as well, right? And then we have, I just heard a term Snowpipe as well. So is it go in sync like with each other, or it's a replacement of ADF pipelines? The Snowpipe is. So how it is?
So it is similar to that only, right? Only thing is there you are working on Azure. Here you are going to work on the Snowflake. You will be creating a data warehouse. You will be creating a data here also in the Snowflake, right? So there they are the pipelines are basically it's a task steps, right? So you would do it there also. You will be doing it here also. So the concepts are pretty same.
Okay, so let's say, so being a to become a Snowflake developer, so we need to. I mean, it's kind of a data engineer profile subset, or it's different
No,
from
it's
that.
basically data engineer profile. Uh,
Okay.
you can say it. You can add this skill into your profile.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Sir, good morning. Jayant here.
Good morning, Jeff. Yeah.
Sir, once we complete this course, which is the certification which I can opt for? Like usually in some of the client projects, that certification would be mandatory.
hmm So
So
yeah, so certifications, if you talk about as such, just for Snowflake, you don't need to have an additional certificate as of now. Just do your Azure certification, and then you can add this Snowflake skill in your resume. So you don't have to go for other certifications.
okay, so you're just telling to complete any of the AZ
Yes.
900 and
Yes.
AZ 104.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have any specific certification for Snowflake, or might we have some advanced data engineer?
Okay, so if you go to the Snowflake website, right? So you can see that this technology and this company is growing day by day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are providing a basic certifications that you can opt for, but I think it is not like uh, it's not like a mandatory thing, or it is going to help you. But there are basic certifications that you can opt for.
Oh, okay. Okay then. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also one more thing. Tomorrow you are going to cover us like how we can set up the database, everything, right? So
Yes.
today, anyways, we'll create the account.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
But still, you can create an account today itself, and you can just
Yeah, yeah.
have a hands-on experience to the Snowflake platform.
Okay then. Thank you.
Sort of, hi.
Right.
Actually, I got disconnected, so I'm not sure if this question is already covered or not. So I just wanted to know, like, to learn Snowflake or to put it on the resume, or do we need to have a knowledge of Azure or JCP or AWS mandatory?
Uh, no, not. This is not mandatory to have
Okay.
the knowledge around the cloud. But again, I would recommend it will help you a lot if you have.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Hi Deepak, hi Saurabh, Nishant this side.
Hi.
I have one question. I have heard from some of my friends that is a Snow Park is a term in Snowflake. So is it Python is mandatory to like having job after this course, or is SQL is sufficient? As I'm from Oracle
See,
background.
SQL is sufficient. Like Snowpark is needed when you have some something connection you needed to do using the Python. And to a lot of people, I'll tell you that Snowpark has been introduced hardly 2 years ago, or 1 or 2 years ago, I guess so, if I'm not wrong. So it is not something which is the Snowflake, the core. Okay, so you can imagine from that point itself.
Okay,
So
okay.
Snowpark is just gives you a one additional way of doing the things in the Snowflake, right? They're just an APIs,
Okay,
so
okay.
that you can
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Deepak.
Okay.
Hello. Hello, Deepak. Sorry. Firoz here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hi,
hi,
Feroz.
Deepak. Hi, Deepak. How are you?
How are you?
I'm
I'm
doing
good.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Deepak. I have two questions, Deepak. So, just now, a
Yeah.
few months back, I had a. I'm just getting hold of Azure and Databricks. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
learn. I'm trying to pop up. And again, now Snowflake came to picture. So, I'm just little bit got confused now. So the first thing of the confusion is, please correct me if I'm wrong. So Snowflake is not an kind of replacement for Azure things. It like that is Azure is kind of different and Snowflake is different, right? Because
I'll tell
they
you.
are, yeah,
Okay, I'll tell you the simple answer.
yeah.
You think like Azure is a supermarket,
Okay.
okay,
Oh, okay.
and Snowflake is just a medical shop. Okay, so it's just
Okay.
Snowflake is just dealing with only the data warehouse stuff, but
Okay.
but Azure is an it's a pack of all the services. It's like 150 services out there.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, so Azure can we say it's a combination of SaaS, PaaS, and kind of as like all the three combined together, right? It's a
Yes, three
combination of.
combined together. And see, probably let's say for example, I'll put in this manner.
Yeah.
If you are a mobile developer, probably you don't care about this stuff. Like if you are something AI person, probably you won't care about the Snowflake, but you still going to care about the Azure because you do all that. You can all do that on the cloud. So
Oh,
Azure is a cloud
okay.
solution,
Okay.
and Snowflake is a cloud data warehouse solution. Just like Databricks is only about cloud Spark cluster.
Okay. Okay.
Similarly, Snowflake is cloud data warehouse solution only. If you are talking about outside data warehouse, then Snowflake is not the solution.
Okay. So, so like in Azure, we have the storage thing. In Snowflake, also we have the storage thing. Like in Azure,
Right.
we have this pipeline creation thing. There also we have a pipeline creation thing in Snowflake also.
Uh, no, you don't create the pipeline as such,
Okay. Okay. So it's
like a
not in.
drag and drop pipeline or no, nothing like that.
Okay. Okay. So, so again, the question comes, Deepak, like, what is the significance of using the Snowflake if we have already in Azure? I think you already explained it, but I'm just little bit want to get more on because I'm not understanding the proper use of Snowflake. Why if it is there is in Databricks and also there is an Azure cloud and we have all the services already present in the cloud and we are
See,
moving to Snowflake. So
don't see, don't think like that. What is the?
okay,
I mean, you think like this is still a competitor. Okay.
okay,
See,
okay,
which one to choose? It depends upon you. It is not something that which is very unique to the Snowflake. Okay, which is
okay,
not given by anyone in the world. It's not like that.
okay,
It's a
okay,
software which has some competitors. It's still a data warehouse solution, but with the traditional data warehouse solution or with other data warehouse solution, it has some its own advantages. That's it. Okay,
So it's
end of
like,
the
you know,
day,
you
it
have
is
got
a
a television, you have got a television, and television has an inbuilt speaker, and you
Okay.
still you got the Bluetooth
Bluetooth.
speakers to get a more good experience because you need to have it. In the
Okay.
same way,
Okay. Okay.
you
Okay.
can say that the Snowflake also gives you more features that you can utilize
Okay.
in your existing project apart from the Azure or a Databricks.
So we can run the Spark job as we run in Databricks. We can also run it in Snowflake. Deepak, suppose we have a no, you cannot. No.
you cannot.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Deepak. Thanks. So after that, as the session is moving forward, we will have more questions.
You'll
I
get to
guess.
know. It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
first session only.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Deepak.
Thank you. So
Hi Deepak.
yeah.
Hi Deepak, this is Sandeep, and I am from testing background.
Okay.
I am planning to buy your Azure Data Engineering course. Is there any prerequisites to learn your Azure Data Engineering course? I am from ETL testing background. I know SQL only. I don't
See,
know coding background.
then if you know SQL, you can do data engineering, not a problem. That's the only basic prerequisite I have. Basic of Python also needed for data engineering, but if you don't know, it's completely fine. Very basic is needed. You don't need to master the Python. And along with my course, I generally give a one Python course free. So that will help you to create your basics around the Python, and that will be more than enough. So you can join the data engineering course if you want.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So far, guys, I mean, like, I'm sorry for interrupting in asking your questions. So far, how is the feedback? I mean, you enjoying the session? Speed it slow, fast? What is your feedback?
No,
I
it's
mean,
good. Yeah, I'm enjoying for sure. Yeah.
and how about others? Thank you, Raviraj.
It's
So
good. Yeah, the session is good, Deepak. The introductory session today, it was good. I'm looking more for tomorrow.
sure. Thank you, Jayant.
Yeah, the
Any others?
session looks
Anything which you
good
feel like?
today, Deepak. Thanks for having conducting this. And I have only one quick question. So, is it ADF is mandatory for Snowflake if your requirement is for Snowflake data engineering Azure platform?
Come again? What is needed to
Is it
have?
mandatory for the Snowflake if you're they're looking for
I,
Azure?
I'm sorry, your voice is breaking in between.
Is
What is needed?
ADF is mandatory for the Snowflake?
ADF is mandatory. No, ADF is not mandatory.
Okay.
Not mandatory.
Hi Deepak.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. So my question is, how much SQL in-depth knowledge we required for this Snowflake?
See, there is no limit as such. To understand, to work on the Snowflake, if you have a basic SQL knowledge like using select, where, group by, joins, it's good enough. Okay, you don't need to know the triggers, you don't need to know the indexes, you don't need those things. Okay, but again, how much level of SQL might be required totally depend upon your project, right? In that project, how complex query you might have been asked to write. That could be another thing. Okay, but for understanding the Snowflake, it's basic SQL. If you know, you will able to understand the Snowflake. Just like, you know, like if I say you how much SQL to use use SQL Server or MySQL, you need a basic SQL, right? How complex you will write it's your depends upon the requirement itself.
So you don't need to be master in something to learn Snowflake. Very easy. Just learn the basic SQL concept. That is more than enough for Snowflake.
Okay, okay, okay. Thanks, Deepak. Thanks, Saurabh.
Thank you.
Hi Deepak, this is Likit here. What is your opinion? You made a comparison between Databricks and Snowflake. Similarly, what's your opinion on Azure Synapse versus Snowflake?
Okay, so Azure Synapse. I mean, if you talk about the Azure Synapse is basically a combination of three things. One is your data factory, one is your Databricks, and third one is your data warehouse. So it's Synapse is nothing in itself. Synapse is just a combination of these three. Okay, so whatever you can do with the Synapse, you can do these three individually as well. Making a one Databricks account, making one data factory account and making one data warehouse account. Okay. Uh, Again, Snowflake comparison with the Synapse, I feel would be a wrong comparison, because Synapse and Snowflake is like apple and oranges, to be honest. Because in the Synapse you can run the notebooks, your database, I mean your Spark code, you can create the drag and drop pipelines, and there's a hell lot of connectors out there. So those thing is not there. Still, it has a data warehouse. One thing it is has, but it's combination of these three things. And Snowflake is only a data warehouse only. So that's
Hi,
it.
Deepak.
Thank you.
Hi, Deepak. This is Srikanth.
Yeah, go ahead, Srikanth.
Yeah, I have one doubt. Like Databricks, we can use as a ETL also, right? Or is it the data warehouse solution?
Come again. Which is Databricks? You said.
Yeah, Databricks is we can use as a ETL also, right?
You can use it, but intentional Databricks is majorly is like using for yeah, big data analytics instead of majorly on the ETL side. But yeah, you can do that.
Okay. And one more thing, like if you want to go to the Databricks course, can I found in your Azure Data Engineer say, course?
Yes, Databricks. I'm quite depth. I'm covering Databricks there in the data engineering.
Okay.
So if you want to join that session, you can join.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Hi, Deepak. This is Satyavrata here. So my question is, if I want to compare the Snowflakes with one of the Azure service or one of the Azure resource, so which one that could we pick? Is it Azure
SQL Server.
Azure SQL
SQL
Server,
Server.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that is a data warehouse.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome.
I have one question. So
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So Snowflake also provides Snowpipe, and we also say if it is kind of so launched in Azure ecosystem, then we have ADF for doing orchestration and data load. So now if we have to take a decision whether to go with Snowpipe or we have to go with ADF, so what are the factors that will come into consideration to select one of those?
See, again, I feel Snowpipe versus ADF is apple versus orange. Why? Because Snowpipe is just a one way of making a connection. Okay, so Snowpipe is like you create a Snowpipe where you have a one folder location or one stage location where Snowflake reads the data. Okay, that's just a one small way. ADF is much more powerful. I mean, in ADF you have triggers. In ADF you can have I mean, you can connect to the on-prem. You can connect to the 80 to 100 different data sources, and you can create the entire workflow. So I don't think so. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. It's Snowflake, Snowpipe, and ADF is like a apple and oranges kind of comparison.
Okay, so Snowflake, don't they provide any kind of integrated ETL or orchestration module? For example, I'll give you a small background. I worked with Snowflake for a short period 4 years back. And what they were doing was they were using Talend to load the data from Netezza to Snowflake when they were doing a migration, and it was hosted in AWS. Now it was in a very nascent stage in 2018 and all. It was in a very nascent stage, but I think a lot of things might have improved in the last 4 years. So in the current scenario, is Snowflake providing any integrated or in-house?
No. So it's nothing like you get any kind of a dashboard where you can drag and drop and you create the workflow and you pull the data from some different characters here. So it's not there, but you have a different characters out there. For example, the Fivetran. So Fivetran has like a drag and drop from any source. You can pull it and you can destination could be Snowflake. So you can dump the data directly into the Snowflake. So Snowflake is still a dumping ground. Snowflake is not a playground where you can architect or you can create those workflows from a different sources.
Okay, got it.
Hi, Deepak.
Yeah, go ahead, Suraj.
Yeah, my question is, I'm currently working as a Teradata admin and coming from the Teradata admin background, and my future interests are to switch to Snowflake admin. So, like, how this course is going to help me, and what are the other things that I need to prepare to switch my career from Teradata
Hey,
admin to
Village, this is a Snowflake developer kind of course where you get an idea how to become a Snowflake practitioner. Not rather than developer, I would say, is Snowflake practitioner course.
Mhm.
Okay, and I don't think so anything big needed for the Snowflake admin. You go with the basic. I mean, probably you might need to do some certification because although I'm against the certification, but for few companies the certification do matter. So you do with some Snowflake architect kind of those certification or some those certifications can help you. But I don't think so. For being in Snowflake admin, you have much to learn because you have a very limited thing to do. To be honest, okay, because as I said, it's a SaaS product, so you don't have to install patches, you don't have to maintain anything, you don't have to upgrade the software versions, you don't have to do all those things. Maximum what you're going to do is you're going to create the number of users and give different users some permissions and all, right? That's what you do. You will look at like what is the query time is coming and like which is taking high time, can you lower it down, and you can just like do some optimization or probably, or you can just keep monitoring on the usage of your Snowflake, which is also, I think there's a lot of automatic notifications you can set and which you'll get it. So I feel Snowflake admin is not that big role ideally. I mean, to me, maybe, I mean, I feel you'll get a little less number of requirement from the Snowflake admin side. I don't think there will be huge requirement, at least at this point of time, because as I said, these number of activities which needed to be done by Snowflake admin is still a limited one. It's not very very big compared to the SQL data warehouse admin. Okay. Again,
Okay.
it's a comparison which I'm doing.
So it will be not like it will be not to like it
I
will be
don't
not.
recommend. Personal, my
Okay.
recommendation will not. That I mean, if you're doing something new, get into more into the developer roles. Or I personally, I don't like. I mean, with no offense, please, but I don't like those admin roles. I feel like admin's life is very tough to manage. They have to work in the shifts. They have to always handle the production things. So always they have to be like very careful of doing the things which I have, which I am not very careful guy. So I feel like admin work is always very tough. So I feel, and rewarding also. I feel like the kind of effort which generally admins do, network admins or a cloud admins, they are not get paid that much, and still your developers and all those folks who is doing some fancy things will get more higher packages and more rewards compared to those admins. So I feel from the financially, mentally, physically, I feel getting out of the admin would be the better choice. My personal choice would be that. So if you ask my recommendation will not be for going with the admin in any field, whether it is a network admin, whether it is a cloud admin, or whether it is a Snowflake admin. That's my general perception. But again, this is very personal of my own choice.
Yeah. Thank you, Divya. Thank you for insights, and I will definitely look into it.
Yeah, I
In a
mean,
way.
you take your own call, but if
Yeah.
somebody asks me, I will run away from being an admin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi,
I will.
Deepak. I have another question, quick question. So, like
Hmm.
now after finishing these 2 weeks, like maybe hands-on program. So in resume, so how much experience we can put it together? Like it's a bit tricky. It's person to person, but still like as a suggestion, as a mentor guide, how much like what the
You can
suggestion is?
easily put 1 year, 2 years experience. No one can catch you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So you can
And
call yourself a
you'll
Snowflake
provide
developer.
all the use cases and problem statement so that we can narrate that if been asked in the interview, right?
No, for that you have to take my $5,000 course.
Okay.
I'm joking. So I'll give you the basic things.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Hi, Deepak. Manish this side.
Okay. Go ahead,
Yeah, I
Manish.
my question is like I wanted to understand from a Spark perspective, like how Spark and Snowflake are means related to each other. What are the integration by which we can integrate between Spark and Snowflake?
So
That kind
see,
of idea I wanted to have.
see, in the Snowflake, in the Spark, probably you have a connector out there. So just like a driver connector, you can think of like that. You can have that connector, and from that you can give it a call like the way you can connect the Spark to the SQL server or to the Azure SQL DB. So the way, same way you can connect it, and then you can call it from there, and you can dump the data from your Spark to the Snowflake. That can be done. Ideally, that is one way. Another way is using the Snowpipe.
And on the Spark side, you need to do a coding, which you don't have to
Exactly.
do it over
So
here.
ideally, what many people do is like in the Spark, whatever the output comes, they put that output somewhere, let's say in ADLS location or data lake storage, or you call it S3 or whatever. And on that location, probably you have a Snowpipe, which is directly taking the data from the Snowpipe into the Snowflake. That's what people do as well.
Okay, okay, understood.
So it depends, like how they wanted to do.
Okay, Deepak.
So, hi Deepak. Are you saying that the Snowpipe does not have integration with on-premise?
Snowpipe, I don't think so. It has.
Okay, so again, it's like from ADF, we use ADF and then transfer the data. Something
Yes,
like that.
that's a one way.
Okay, and you know
See,
that
I mean,
but
see,
yep.
you think like that. End of the day, it's Snowflake is a data warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you look at my that diagram, you look at this. Still, these are your databases, and this was your old data warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you are replacing this old data warehouse with the new data warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, earlier you were using your ETL mechanism to drop the data here, right?
Mm.
So still you need some mechanism which will drop the data instead of here. Now data will go here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Snowflake is this, right?
Okay.
So your ETL mechanism is still will be there, which is like
Okay.
pushing the data here. So which ETL tool you will use, that depends.
Okay, and I think you know, right? I'm part of your data engineering course as well. So can I be bit lenient in learning Databricks? I mean, or
I don't
no?
I don't recommend at all, because whatever be the Snowflake is still there is a many project which is running into the Databricks, and Databricks is very important for a data engineer. So you should not take it lightly at all. Okay. I mean, on the contrary, you can take the Snowflake light, because the Snowflake is
Okay.
easy. And I mean, see, you need to be honest with yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I got.
Out of 100 requirements, you will find that still 60-70% of the time Databricks is used, and hardly 20-30% times Snowflake is used. Although the Snowflake resource is very small in numbers. So your
Mhm.
chances of getting selected for Snowflake is very high, and the pay would be very high. Could be possible. But again, the number of requirement is less,
Okay.
because it's not still that utilized by that many folks. Compared to, again, it's a comparison. So it's compared to the Databricks. Similarly, if I do a Databricks versus Java comparison, I still find that Java people, there are a hell lot of Java jobs compared to the Databricks jobs, right? So it's always we are doing some comparison.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, guys, quickly, I also have an office, and all of you also have, I assume. So if you have a quick question, please come forward. Let's finish it off. I mean, otherwise, we can take up the questions tomorrow. So any quick question, please.
Yeah, Deepak Apurva here. So
Yeah.
Deepak, I was going through this Azure Lab Academy and I see that there are two real world Azure data project end to end. So similarly, are you planning for a Snowflake after this training?
Hopefully. Honestly, nothing in my mind at this point of time, but I mean, if there is a demand, I could create one.
Yeah, actually means the after basic, if you will also organize that end to end, it will be very helpful for us.
Sure,
So
I will try. Yep, I will do that.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Deepak. Subhared here.
Yes, Subha.
So, when you say staging in Snowflake, like, I mean, when we bring the data into our AWS S3 bucket or Azure Data Lake storage or GCP, some other storage, that we are calling a staging area, or is there any separate staging area maintained in the Snowflake?
Forget about it. The moment we get into the staging, I will explain it. Don't worry. Okay, we haven't reached to the staging yet, so don't worry. This is just an introduction we have done today. I'll cover this staging in the depth. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Deepak sir.
Hello.
Sir, do you also provide any data analyst courses?
Not at the moment, but yeah,
Are
I
you
mean,
planning?
nothing in the plan. But I mean, hopefully, maybe after 2 months or so, you can get something on the data analyst. I was thinking, but like, again, I am a solopreneur. I am working alone, and like I have a 8 hours job as well, 9 to 6. So it's tough to do so many things. So, but again, I mean,
Sir,
hopefully, maybe after 2 3 months.
So I was searching for a course wherein we can get like Python, NumPy, Pandas, SQL, and like Tableau or Power BI. So there were many courses, but I couldn't get any like one course wherein all these could be covered. So I just wanted to get something where data analyst using Python is covered. So if you could do that, it would be
So
I
helpful.
will
this
try.
these
Saurabh
things
will
are
take it.
yeah. So these things, so Python or Matplotlib or Seaborn libraries, data visualization, all these things are covered in our data science program.
So Saurabh runs a data science program. There he covers all this. But again, your Tableau and Power BI will not be there. But I
Yes.
think I asked Saurabh earlier as well. Like I mean, 2 3 days ago we were having some discussion. So Saurabh is planning to have something. So
Yeah.
I don't know how long it will take.
Okay, so I'll reach out to you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, anyone?
Yeah. Hi, Deepak. Hi, Saurabh. Very nice, informative sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just wondering, would you have some session later, maybe on interview scenarios or something that could help most people, have some.
That's a good suggestion. I haven't thought of it, but yeah, we can add that.
Yeah, certainly that would be really nice. Or even an additional add-on, like you have for your data engineering, some small course that could also be a suggestion. So whatever you feel appropriate would be really
Sure.
nice.
Sure. I mean, if you see the pattern at our thing like at Azure Lab Academy, I mean, I am trying to uh, give impart all those knowledge at a very bare minimum cost. So even if you think like this is Snowflake,
Definitely.
the training cost is like it's peanuts compared
Absolutely.
to the, I mean,
Absolutely.
the live and all. So that's the reason at some point of time, I mean, we wanted to include everything, but like
Sure.
again, the cost and the timing is the
Sure.
problem. So,
Absolutely. Agreed. Absolutely.
but I'll
Yeah.
try it. I'll try it.
Sure, sure.
Don't
Thank you.
worry.
Thank you for this,
Thank you.
very nice and low cost to everybody, easily affordable. And you are so nice and gentle and give, so much additional time to queries. So I guess you are doing a really fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Any more questions, anyone? Okay. I think finally we end up with all the questions. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see all of you tomorrow. So hopefully, I mean, I don't know whether you are already part of that WhatsApp group or not. I highly recommend go ahead and join the WhatsApp group because you will get the link directly on your WhatsApp, and you'll get some notifications as well. So I think it's 10:30 around. So in next 3 4 hours, probably I will release one quiz as well. I don't think so. We have a good assignment for today because it was just an introductory session. So assignment will not make sense for today. But yeah, I'll definitely put on one quiz so that helps you to just engage yourself with the Snowflake. So you can do that. Nishad, for getting the group link, probably you go down to the Azure Lab Academy. I think I close it down. There on the first session, you will see that join WhatsApp group link. So you go to the recording space, and there you will see the link to join the WhatsApp group. So you from there you can go and join the WhatsApp group. Okay. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Saurabh, for helping me out. So thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Deepak. Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you,
Thanks,
Saurabh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So, Deepak, like we're
Yeah.
going to receive the recording, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
order to set up.
It will take few hours. I mean, to get upload, because I mean this Google Meet will send me the recording after 2-3 hours only. So once
Okay.
Google will send me, then only I can upload it. So it will take 3-4 hours minimum on an average. Okay.
Okay. Because it has some steps
Okay.
to create the account at Snowflake account.
Sure, no problem. No problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. See you. Thanks. Bye.
See you all. Bye.
See you all. Let me stop the recording.